Hey guys, it's Melissa with Web of Creativity, and today is a construction video for the Memory Keepers mini album. And this album is pretty hefty for me. The spine is the biggest I've ever made, and it's 3.5 inches. It's 6 pages, but it has a lot of space for pictures, so I wanted that spine large enough so when you put pictures in here, this can expand comfortably. So I have kits and tutorials on my blog, www.webofcreativity.net. Now, I've said this spine was 3.5. This album size is actually 8 inches by 9.5. And I use the Graphic 45 Lost in Paradise paper collection and the Patterns and Solids. So the kits come with both of these and additional sheets of the collection pack. Just because it's a little paper heavy, along with, you get all the cardstock to make it as well, and chipboard, all that good stuff. Kits also come with the tutorial, so you don't have to purchase them separately. So again, kits come with the tutorial. So let me get some close-ups of this front cover I made to look like an aviary. And here we got a lot of fussy cutting with the birds. Had to put them on foam stickers to get that dimension. It looks really good in person. I'm trying to get it on camera. And then you see these leaves right here. This is Tim Holtz, and behind this one, Tim Holtz dye. It's tropical. And that has both of those leaves in there. Okay, so let me show you the pages. My front cover here, the toucan framed bird. I think this would make an awesome card. I think it looks really cool. Okay, so the video, besides construction of everything, it also does the tidbits on the extra decorations and this little embellishment right here. So I try and go over not only the pages and matting everything. I also try and give you some tips on, or what I did to the album on decorating. So this tag opens up and it has this little closure right here. Big area for photos or journaling. This guy's attached, but you don't have to attach them and just put a large picture in the center. Whichever you want to do. And then this guy opens, has this big area. Not only that, has this large tag. Great for photographs as well. And let me put my tag back. Open this guy, and then got that embellishment again in the same closure as the tag in the front. That opens up. And a pocket for, this is cutout piece from the collection. I got, did a little edge punching, and this is a scallop, Martha Stewart scallop punch. You can use any that you have. I typically like the scallop punches. Another tag opens up. And another tag. Got this little sticker down here, this little strip. I like how this is a die set that I used for the embellishments, and then around this chipboard piece, and it's spellbinders, and it's label 36. But any kind of nestable die will work for making like little frames around the pieces, or just framing out one of the chipboard pieces. Alright, so I did get 2 full pages embellished. I just matted a couple more pages and they need some more decorations on there. I like this bird right here. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll make the cover, the pages, decorating, and then some tips. Yeah, that's it. Alright, let's get started. We are going to work on the cover, which is 2 cover chipboard pieces and a spine. And then we have 2 sheets for our cover. So we're going to actually start on our back cover first. So I already added my tape. So we're going to attach, flipping this guy over. We're going to attach, I like to have about 5/8, half an inch to 5/8 overhang. So I remove the tape backing and then I'm just going to add a little extra adhesive. This is my ATG. And I'm turning my paper so I can evenly attach. Okay. And let me get okay. I got my spacer, which is 2 pieces of chipboard, so it's a chipboard thickness, to attach my spine piece. So first I need to add some tape to this side and to the edge of my spine. So I got it on the edge of my spine, and then I'm going to do an edge. Stopping short a half an inch on the top and bottom. I'm going to take off my tape, use my spacer of 2 pieces of chipboard thickness, and line this guy up at the top and the bottom. So this is our front sheet, so I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to attach my cover to so I'm attaching it just like the back. Now, I know I'm attaching it the same way, but this is the back, and it goes like this. And because I had solid paper, it didn't matter how I attached it because this doesn't, it's not directional. So if you do have directional paper for the back, you're going to attach it so it's on this side. So this will be your overhang piece, and your spine will get attached to the left. Alright, so attached my front cover. And the first thing I'm going to do, because this gets attached here, is put a strip of tape along the edge of my chipboard. And I'm fluctuating tape. This one is my 1/2 inch. When I did this side, I only used my 3/8 inch tape. So these are my 2 go-tos. Then I'm going to add tape straight to the top, to the bottom. The other piece I stopped short, but this paper is going to attach to the paper and not to the chipboard. So it needs to go all the way to the top. Now I'm going to add tape to here, but it's just going to be my 1/4 inch tape for my paper. It's going to attach most of this paper to this paper. As you can see, it'll probably overhang just a bit, but I make sure that this corner is attached to the paper, so when I fold it over, I won't have it flapping about. Okay, so then we're going to add some more tape right along in here, right along up here, and for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and add straight down the middle. So that's what it's going to look like. Use our spacer, flip it over, and attach. Alright, I removed my tape backing. Oh, make sure my spacer is in place. It's like hold your breath and then attach. Oh, perfect. So if your paper doesn't line up at the top and bottom evenly, it's fine. Nobody's going to see it. All right. There we go. And I didn't ink. Well, that's going to get covered. If you're not going to cover this piece, you're going to want to ink the edges, which I did not do because I forgot. Perfect. Alright, I have you zoomed in a little bit on this corner. Now, I know it's not even, which is fine. We are going to cut at an angle, and it's going to be 1/8 inch from the tip of that chipboard. Just like that. If you noticed, I have a Fiskars craft knife. I usually have Martha Stewart, and I might get me a new Martha Stewart when I like the grip. It's a little bit thicker. Martha Stewart stuff came back out, so I think I can get one now. But this one does good too. Alright, so you're going to trim both corners at an angle to have that little bit of gap right there. Okay, so after we trim all the corners, we're going to add tape flush to the edge, skipping the gaps between the spine piece all the way around. Then we take our bone folder or our scoring our scoring tool, and score the edges. So we're just going to score right along that edge. It's going to make it easier to fold our paper around the edge. Then I take my other bone folder that has a flat tip, and I like to finger press and then take the flat side and run it along the edge. Just to get that smoothness on that edge. So we're going to attach the two sides first, the two short sides. You're going to want to, before you attach, ink your little corner edges. These right here. So I used Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. You can use just Distress Ink Vintage Photo. Both of those work great for this paper. Oh, let me pick this up right here. Just a little bit. And then fold over. Then I'm going to run my bone folder again along that edge just to get that flat, smooth look. Alright, then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay. So for the top, just finger pressing. So when I do this side, I stop where that gap is. I don't want this to go into the gap. I also don't want to press that hard to do that, but just in case you're not paying attention or whatever, you just don't want to tear that paper where that gap is. So just skip the gap sections. Oops. Okay, so always attach in the middle first. I do that because if you don't do it evenly, you could get a bubble and it not be straight. Skip the gap. Skip the gap. And you got that nice, clean look. Okay, and the bottom. So the hardest part is going to be, I forgot to tuck in the corners. Okay, tuck in the corners just by pushing your bone folder into that corner. Let me, go in. So I'm just pressing it. You can use your fingernail as well. Let's look at this corner right here. And you're just pressing that into the corner. The other two corners don't look bad, so we're not gonna, definitely not undoing that. Go back out. Skip, skip. So the hardest part folding is where it overlaps. So that's the, it's going to be a little more stiffer. So again, attach the middle first. All right. Skip, jump, skip, jump. Oh, super clean. And look at that corner. That is a good corner. All right. Now you got the back, the front done. We need to do the inside. For the inside cover, there's a couple ways to do a cover. One way is to cover the front and back the same color paper, and when you do that, you cut your size of your paper, going in about 3/4 to an inch on the spine, and then have a separate spine piece that just covers this part. Or you can have it meet in the middle and then just have a strip going down to cover that seam. What I'm going to do is having the back and the spine be the same piece, and then having the front be a different piece. So that's how I'm doing that this time. And oh, before I take the tape off of here, I'm going to add tape to this side of the spine. Usually I cover both sides, but my paper will cover this whole piece up to this edge. So I'm just going to cover flush to the edge of this spine. So if you're doing just the front and back being identical and attaching those first, you're going to want to put your tape on both sides of this spine piece. But again, I have tape on my paper that is just going to cover that edge of that spine right there. And you need the cover the edge of the spine so when you close your album, it doesn't bubble in that area, since there's a gap right there. You don't need your paper bubbling. All right, then I'm going to add some, where's my front? ATG to my front section and my middle section. Okay, so this is the paper. Wow, I don't know the... Alright, that looks right. Directional paper. Couldn't tell the direction. Okay, so we're going to attach this first. And it's going to be a 1/8 inch border all the way around. I'm going to turn this so I can see it, but then you can't see it. Alright, I'm going to stand up. I might have a little extra shadow. I'm sorry about that. It's 1/8 of an inch border. Looks good. And then okay. Then with the other sheet, it's going to be nice bright pink. Going to attach just like that. So I need to add my tape to the edges of my paper. I'm also going to add my spine tape. So I'm going to add on left side of the spine gap and then the right side. Again, flush to prevent bubbles. Then we're going to add I'm covering the whole spine area with tape because this is where our pages are going to be. So we don't need this paper popping up. There we go. All covered. I didn't put any on the green because I'm going to have an edge. This is going to cover it with this edge right there. So let me add my tape to this and we can get it attached. All right, now that I have all this taped up, I'm actually going to hold my little area here, make sure my paper goes in the crease gap. That's just so I can get that little line of where my paper needs to stop. And then for adding tape to my paper, I have all this open for this section and then a couple extra pieces for this section, and then I'll put some ATG on there. So I'm going to undo this first. I'm going to take this paper . Okay. I'm going to stand up again. Hopefully I won't have too much shadow standing. And and trying to stay on the screen. Alright, before I attached any of this, I did ink the edges, if you can tell. I did ink the edges. Alright. Oh, you can see, well, I don't know if you can see, there's just a little bit of a bubble right there. Oh, I got it flat. Alright. There is our inside of our cover. So I'll have our pages here, decorate the inside, outside. Great. We are going to work on our page. So we're going to do the front of the page first. So this is our pocket piece. So we're going to just put that aside. And our front page has our flap that opens, our two side flaps, and then we have a pocket right here with the tag in it. So we're going to work on that first. And we have our main piece that has one score line, and we're just going to fold it on the score line. And that is going to make our base page. So then we need our pocket for a base page, and this has a score line all the way around. Sorry, at 3 sides to make our tabs. Now all the dimensions are on the tutorial, which can be found on my blog, and the links for those are in the description below, and that's www.webofcreativity.net. Okay, now that I got that, I'm going to trim the tabs, the corners. So I'm going to trim these 2 corners, and you trim them or taper them from the edge of the score at an angle. So on the bottom 2, you're going to treat it the same way. So I'm going to cut at an angle to the score line, and then score line out to an angle. So we want those angled, just like so. And then we're going to add our tape to the tabs. I'm going to fold our tabs underneath, and I'm just going to run my bone folder to make it a more of a good crease. Flattening it out a bit more, and then I'm going to take this guy, and we're going to attach the 3 edges to the top down the side, and it's going to stop short for that pocket piece. So I'm going to turn it upside down so I can make sure I line up my edges. And I'm going to attach my bottom tab on top of my 2 side tabs. Flip it over and line up flush to the edge, following the side. Perfect. Running my bone folder just to get a good stick. and that has that extra mark right there. And then we have our 2 side pieces. Both of them just has 1 score line. Taper the corners, so from the score line out, from the score line out, or inward, just as long as you trim it at that angle. I'm going to add our tape to our tab. Okay, and before I attach these, I'm going to go ahead. I typically do not ink my page. I ink my paper, but for this project, I feel like I want to ink my page. So I don't need to ink these sides because that's where these guys are going to be placed. So I'm going to ink my top here, and then just around the edge of my pocket piece, and then ink both sides of this piece. And I'm going to use Distress Oxide Vintage Photo, or you can use just Distress Ink Vintage Photo. I just like the Vintage Photo for this paper collection. Okay, I'm going to, I've inked my edges. You can see a little bit of brown. It's not overly dark. I don't do dark, but we're going to go ahead and attach our flaps. So I'm going to start with one side first. I'm going to turn this sideways, and it's going to be flush to the side, up, to the top, and bottom. And then the next one, just because I want to make sure it's right in that center, I'm going to go from the center line first and then attach along the edge. So it's a good fit. Ah, looks good. And then we have our large tag that fits right up in there. So this album has some good photo space. We got this whole area here, and this tag here. And this is pretty open, and we could probably fit more than just one in here, but that's a big space right there for a large photo or a few small photos. So that is the start of our first page. I'm going to get a magnet just to get this to stay closed. And then we have our back side that we'll work on. So our back side is flaps that open, and it has just a piece that's going to act as its closure, which is the same type of closure as our pocket in the front. So this opens up, and then we have a pocket piece here where a tag is, but it also is open on this side for our binding piece. So our binding hinge slides right here. That's how the page attaches to the hinge. So to work on this guy, we're going to start with these pieces. So this piece has score line on both sides, and then one right in the middle. So we're going to trim this piece up. So what we're going to have is from the middle score line down the side of these two hinge score lines, our tab score lines, we're going to cut off. So the tab score line is just that 1/2 inch. Get my, so I'm going to follow the score, and I'm going to have to draw it because I can't see it very well. So let me give me a little line to follow. I can see it if I move it close up, but then you guys can't see it. So let me add a line so you guys can follow along. All right, so there's our score marks. So we got this score, and that score. So this is the sections we're cutting out. So we're going to go from the corner down. And because this is going to be our tab, we're going to want to taper it. So we're just going to cut at an angle. So we're tapering it at the same time as trimming that piece off. So trim it up to that point and taper. There is our pocket piece. And then we will fold our tabs inwards. Oh, I didn't taper the tops. So we're going to want to taper the top 2 tabs. Fold those over. Add our tape to our tabs. So this is going to act like our pocket. So this guy needs to fold over. So that is our flap. And then our pocket will attach. So then I'm going to take this piece, only has 1 score, and that's just for a tab. So trim the 2 corners, add the tape, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink all the edges real quick before I attach everything. Alright, now we're going to attach to the back side of our page. So I'm going to first run my bone folder over my tabbed sections just to get them flatter. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach. So this pocket piece is going to attach on the right side flush to the edge, bottom and top, as it's folded. So I'm going to turn it sideways so I can see it. So I'm going to flush to that edge, flush to the bottom. Looks good. Now I need this piece. It's going to go on top. So this is also going to go flush to the edge and the bottom. Oh, let me, there, okay, got it. Just making sure it lines up with my page on the other side. It looks good. Alright, so my attached piece will get attached after I mat. So I want to mat this piece right here before I attach this on top, and then I'm going to mat this piece as well. So our page will tuck right on into this piece when it folds down, and then hold it closed. So that's going to, so I'm just going to put it in the pocket at the moment, along with my tag here. And we'll leave that be for just a little bit. Let me grab a magnet to keep this closed. There we go. So we'll work on the tag that goes in this pocket, which is this guy right here. And it slides, it will slide right on in there. It's going to be just like that. So those pieces, I have 3 of those pieces. One piece just has one score line, it gets folded, and it's our top flap of our pocket. This guy is the bottom part and has a tab. It's folded over. Taper corners on my tape. And before I attach, I'm going to go ahead and ink this tag piece. Okay, I inked my edges. I'm just flattening out my tab area for my bottom piece here. Remove my tape, line up, flush evenly, and done. Alright, so the only other thing is my closure piece for the top that slides right on in. Again, I'm going to wait to ink and attach that until after this is matted. So this is our pocket. And yeah, now we gotta get some matting done, and there's this open area right here for our binding piece. We will be working on page matting. So I removed the pocket piece here, and we're going to mat the first page. Before we do so, we're going to prep some of our pieces. So we have our front flaps, our front other flap, and then our back piece. So what this is going to look like is we're going to have these 2 guys up at the front here, and this guy is up the front. So all these corners need to be punched, and we need to ink the edges. And then for inside, I have this big piece right here. It's a great spot for photos, and then we'll put like stickers or embellishments on the corners, and then our 2 sides that are going to get punched as well. This I'm leaving blank at the moment. I'm not going to do a full mat here. I'm probably just going to take some leftover pieces and do some strips, and then do a sticker or cutout. I'm just looking at my cutouts over here. Sticker or cutout or something. So I'm not going to do a full mat. This project is a little paper heavy because of not only are we matting the page, we also got this tag right here, the tag on the inside over here, and our folding tag that goes in this pocket. So it's a lot of paper for matting. So you know, take some steps to get as many scraps as you can, so we can just do some scraps on little sections. Okay, so for this front guy, I'm going to have the green background full, not touched, and then punch the corners of this guy. Oh, I'm going to make sure that it lines up first. Yeah. And then I'm going to punch the corner. So I'm using a stub punch. This is We Are Memory Keepers. Okay. I'm also going to do, which you do not have to do, but because I want as many pieces as I can, I'm going to cut out this part right here so I can use, because I don't need the full piece because this is covering it. So I want some of this green background to use elsewhere. Behind, maybe I can make some leaves from it, or whatever the reason. I would like some, especially this green, just to make, I have some leaves over here, just to make some leaves to decorate, or if I want the background of a sticker or something. So I'm going to cut that piece out. But those need to get inked. Oops. This bottom pocket piece, I'm punching all 4 corners. My inside, I'm not punching this guy. I'm going to leave it like this. And I'm going to punch all 4 corners of the inside flats. Now for these inside flaps, you don't have to mat the full flap if you don't want to. You can do two little mats, one here and one here, so you have 2 separate pictures, or do an additional mat up here in a solid color for journaling. That would be really cute as well. Or just do like a half a mat and just punch the top of this guy, and then you have space up here for journaling, and just have like a craft area for journaling. So there's a lot of ideas that you can do with the inside of these flaps. Alright, so before so I'm going to ink all these edges and trim my paper. So this is the front. I'm going to go ahead and go over the back piece, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to look at everything as it's already done. So for this back piece, I just have a solid piece up here. Now I have it so it's flush to the bottom. So I'm only going to punch the top 2 corners. So punching the top 2 corners. For this guy over here, and this guy right here, I'm going to go ahead and punch all 4 corners on him. I'm thinking if I want to keep him kind of like the full coverage, because I am going to have like a little piece right here that this guy tucks into. So I might not punch him at all. I'm gonna wait and see on that one. The inside, because this is my little piece right here, I still have to punch the corners on this piece. So I'll punch this piece. It'll go like that. And leave these 2 full. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to do that. Inside, I'm actually going to punch the top of this with an edge punch. I moved out of, here we go. This is Martha Stewart scallops with some holes in it. I typically use a scallop punch. I just like the look of it. But you can use whichever punch that you have, or you can leave it like this. So the reason why why it's not a full page is because this was from a scrap piece. A lot of my scrap pieces, let me see if I can pull one out. I can't grab. Okay. A lot of my scrap pieces end up looking like this, an L shape. So what I did for an L shape is I cut like the bottom part to fit on this side, and then I had this piece straight across. I'm like, I don't need it full. I would like to save some of my paper so I can have paper on all of my pages. This is 6 pages. Now if you shrink the album to 4 pages, you can probably do full mats on everything. So then I have, this is some tags in there. This guy right here, and this guy right here. So I am going to punch the edge of this one And I think I'm going to leave the rest solid since this bunch is going to be a curved one. I might round, I think I'm going to round the edges on this one. Since this is going to be bubbly on this side, I'm going to round the edges on this one. And I'm going to go ahead and do a small one, a 1/4 inch corner rounder. Yep, I like that idea. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that on, is this up against? Oh, that's perfect. I can go ahead and do this one too. Yeah. So it'll be round on the inside. I should have done round on that, but I'm going to leave it because I've already did it, not cutting another piece. So this guy's going to have the top punch. You just slide your cardstock in here and you punch and then move it along and then punch. So that's how I'm going to do those, and then ink all the edges. And we will do tags and this part after we get everything attached. So let me go and ink everything and I'll come back. We're first going to add our magnets. So I'm going to take piece of tape and get that ready. And use my ruler for my placement of my magnet. Place my magnet in a good spot. Then add my tape. And repeat. And then when you close this, you can just drop the magnet and it'll show you where your places are, and then just add your tape again to attach. Okay. Oh, so with the inking the edges, I used Distress Oxide Vintage Photo by Tim Holtz. Same ink that I used to ink the pages, and just the Distress Vintage Photo will work. You don't need the oxide. The color variation of the oxide and the non-oxide is just a little, but I do happen to like it. So I do like to add extra. This is about to die, so I might not have a lot. I do like to add extra ATG, which is my advanced tape glider. And then when I attach, I'm going to attach with a 1/8 inch border. So I'm going to repeat by attaching these two. So what I did is I did tell you I was going to cut. So I cut that piece out. So now I have some extra pieces for backings of stickers, or if I want to cut out some additional mats on the inside or something, I will have that extra paper since I don't need it. So then I'm going to attach it flush to the edge of the flap. So I want this to be flush because I want it to line up with this one, and then it'll have a 1/8 inch border all the way around. So I had it flush to the edge with that 1/8 inch border. So for our inside pieces, we're just going to attach 1/8 inch border, 1/8 inch border. So So you can see I made the 1/8 inch border all the way around. Big solid open area for pictures. So for the back, I got my pocket pieces. This guy sits flush to the top of this pocket. And then we have that 1/8 inch border all the way around. These guys just 1/8 inch border all the way around. Then on the inside, we got this guy. I rounded these corners, and then I punched the top of this edge. So just gives it a little something extra. You can even turn those into pockets if you want. I'm not going to, but you can definitely turn these into little pockets and put something down there. Maybe cut out a piece, or cut like a little bird and put it on like a little tag that you pull out. Would be kind of cute as well. So let me attach these guys. So we've matted the inside. Looks good. And then we have our tag for our pocket. And then our closure piece to work on. For the closure piece, I cut out my mat. And then I'm not using that. I'm going to use 1/2 inch corner rounder on 2 of the corners. I'm doing the same this guy. And I'm going to ink my edges and attach to here, and then I'll show you attaching it to here. Alright, so I attached the mat to the tab thing, and then I'm going to flip over and draw a line, because the whole thing is not going to get tape, just a part of it. So I'm drawing where the tape goes, and then attaching my tape in that spot. Okay. All right, for attaching, I'm going to turn this sideways so I can see my measurement. So I'm going to have it centered. I'm going to use my ruler in order to center it. I'm just going to slide my ruler right to the center. And then I do want my stolen camera. I'm trying to see this. So I want it flush to the edge. Flush to the edge of the page and centered on both sides. And then I'm just going to check, make sure it looks centered to me. Alright, now I have my closure piece that hasn't been used, so I need to, as long as I keep closing it, it'll get used and it'll be a little bit more easier. So this is the same closure piece that we're going to use on our pocket piece that we're putting in the front. Also have, I think, a really cute idea for this closure on top that's going to be adorable. So then tag here. All right, need to work on our tags, and then we can attach our pages and then decorate them. Okay. All All right, next we have tags to work on. So what I'm going to do with these tags, we'll start with this large guy that he goes in the front bottom section right here. So what I'm going to do with him is just stub punch the corners and ink this guy, and that's what I'm going to do with him. Now for the folded tag that goes in the front pocket area here, we're going to take this guy. He's our little closure piece. He's just like this closure piece. So we're going to round those corners. I'm using a 1/2 inch. So then we're going to ink and attach that like that. This front piece guy, I got little pieces. So this is what this one's going to look like. And so I'm just going to stub punch just the top of this one. So it's just going to stub the top of that one and then the bottom of this one. So that's for the front cover of this guy. Then we go inside, and I don't have a full piece at the bottom. So this bottom piece right here, I'm going to use my scallop punch along the bottom. For the center, I'm just going to have this partial piece and this piece that I got die cutted from the collection. It's one of those 4x6 cards. And then this top piece right up here. And I'm going to round the corners at the top since I'm doing the bottom with the scallop punch. So I'm just rounded, I just did a 1/4 round edge for the top. I'm going to punch the bottom and leave this just like that. And then ink those edges. Then for the pocket here, I'm going to take just this partial scrap piece and I'm going to punch the edge with the scalloped edge. So I'm going to go ahead and prep all my pieces and get them punched and inked. Alright, so I've punched, inked, and attached to my tags. So this guy, I'm need to put in our closure piece, which is this top piece. So just like the back of this album, on how we placed it, we didn't attach the tape all the way. We did a partial tape so we can tuck this guy in there. So that's what we're going to do with this one. So we're going to draw our line. And know that that's our stopping point for our tape. So our tape is going to go between the back side and the line. So we'll go ahead and add our tape. And then we're going to attach centered on this flap here. Alright, so with the back side, I showed you lining it up against this edge. So for this one, I'm going to do the opposite side and do the back edge just so you can see the difference. So first we need to find our center and remove my tape backing. So again, we do want the edge flush with the edge. So let me do that again. Find my center. Hold it down because it will come up. And then line right up to that edge. Right up to that edge, still have that gap. So let me press down on that. So when we sorry, there we go. We got that tucked right in. And there's our piece. So I'm going to put something up on here to make it a little decoration or a sticker or something. And that's the tag. Next is our binding strips. So I have 3 pieces already scored, and we're just going to, let me take a middle one here. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do one, and then you're just going to repeat the process on the other 2. So I'm going to fold on the score line, going the same direction. And this binding technique is called Stack the Deck, and it's designed by Laura Dennison. So once we got that scored, we're going to go ahead and taper the corners from the score line, and then cut out an angle. We're going to take our tape and go flush to the edge. And flush to edge. So we're doing flush to the edge, so when the page slides on, we got that space right there, so that page isn't going to go flush to that binding score line. We're going to have it come up about 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to want to add tape to the back side. And this is my 3/8 inch tape. And then I'm going to add tape to the middle section, and it's going to be on the back side. So the front side has the tabs going up, the back side is the tabs going down, and we want to cover this whole piece with tape. So I'm doing up against the edge first, and then I will take my other tape, go along straight in the center. So I was using 1/2 inch tape and then 3/8 inch tape. Alright, so all 3 of your pieces are going to look like this. We're going to have the tabs tapered and taped on both sides, and then the back fully taped. So do that for your other 2 pieces. So with this binding technique, this just happens to be the one that I like the most, but feel free to use any other one that you have. You just need a tab portion to slide your page on. So they do have the accordion hinge, but any of the kind that you like to use, go ahead and use for it. Again, I just happen to like the Stack the Deck, and most of my albums are Stack the Deck. So if you've seen me make any of the other albums, you probably already know this one. The only difference between this one and all the other ones is I've extended my little tab 1/8 inch on both sides. So that's just to give some room for this page. My page is a little heftier than normal, so I just needed to have that extra spacing for when this gets on there so it can flow back and forth. Alright, so with this, we got all of our tabs taped. our back side drenched with tape. And now we're going to stack the deck, which means we're going to stack our piece on top of each other. So I've already marked where I'm going to line them up. So I already did that. The directions are in the tutorial. It's pretty easy. The spacing I'm using, I usually use 3/8 inch, but again, because this page is going to be a thick one, it doesn't look thick now, but once you get all those pictures in there, it's going to be a thick one. So I wanted enough space in between my pages. So this guy is a bit bigger, and you probably realized that when you put the spine on, and you can tell that it is quite bigger than my normal albums. So I just wanted enough room for when the pictures go in that everything still fits nicely. Alright, I'm removing the tape backing only, not from the tabs, just the part between the score lines. And then I'm going to line it up with the mark that I have. Roll it around before I lay it down, just so I can lay it in between the marks that I have. And that gave me my 1/2 inch space in between my pages. And this one I'm quite careful about. Want to make sure that it has a good stick, covered in tape so it does stick real well. I'm going to go over with my bone folder because this is the part that has the pages on it, and we want to make sure those pages stay on the album and stay on the tabs. Alright, then we're going to stack the next piece. So I'm going to put that right flush to that edge. Right flush to that edge. So we got that smooth edge. We got our spaces between our pages. So I'm just moving my tabs. Okay, so now we're going to attach this guy to our album. Alright, so we're going to attach our binding piece to our album. So this piece, as you can tell, it's smaller. That's because our pocket is close to the bottom. So we're going to attach it close to the bottom. You can see where our page sits in the album. It's short on the top and bottom and a little bit of more space on the side. So we take that into consideration when attaching our piece. So I'm going to get this prepped by just taking all of the tape backing off. And I'm going to line up my ruler with the center. I'm using my nails as a guide where the score lines are, where the crease is in the spine. Not score lines. Spine piece. So give me just 1 second. Let me make sure. I'm just checking to make sure my ruler is straight. Line this guy up like so. Before I press on it, I'm going to lift this guy up to make sure my lines are parallel and even. So that looks good. Once you have it attached, we're going to, between each of the tabs, we're going to take the bone folder and just get that pressed down. A good pressing to get this attached to the back of the spine piece. Okay. Attaching pages. So we're going to attach our first page. So usually I start from the front of the page and slide it on, but because the pocket is technically on the back side, we're going to start on the back side. I'm also going to open this up and use this as a way of opening the pocket a little bit, because it is right there, that opening. Pull this out a little bit and slide it on. So we're going to angle our piece and slide this guy on. And you can't see that. So I'm going to pick this up. Holding this guy, I need a third hand, and we're going to slide it. So when you hold it out, it'll be open in order to slide it on there, which is hard to do with one hand. I'll do this side. There we go. It's easier with two hands, I promise. And then when you attach it, you're going to stop 1/8 of an inch or a little bit more if you want. Stop 1/8 of an inch so you have that space when you are flipping your pages. All right. Also, there's some videos where I take off both sides, which I'm doing now, and some videos where I only take off one side. Usually if I only take off one side, I'll peel a little bit of the second piece off, hold it, so you have a little piece to tug on to take this piece off once this is on. So this will be on, you'll have one side stuck, this will stick out, and then you'll pull it and attach. So it's whichever way is easiest. If you've never done this, I'd always do a practice binding and attaching something smaller to it. You can also use glue, which is more forgiving, and you can wiggle it better. But tape is just like there's ways to get it off of the tape. You can use a spatula. This is a Cricut one. It's old Cricut machine, one of the first ones, but I still use a spatula today. You can use something like that, or use Undo, which is a product to undo some adhesive. Okay. I'm pulling. I swear I need a third hand. There it goes. Now I'm just making sure I'm lining it up evenly. Want that 1/8 inch gap. Making sure it looks good on this side. So you only tell mostly with that gap if you're real close up and personal and in your face. But usually it's going to be here. You're not going to tell. You're just going to, most people are just going to focus on your pages. You can't even see it from the camera view down. And this page just moves smoothly. So that's the point of the extra gap. So definitely want to get this stuck. So I'm going to run my bone folder. Let's put my tag in here. There we go. Close. Flip over. Pressing down. Oh, looks good. Looks good. We got our little tag in here. close. Grab this. Oh. But this page is going to be thick once you add those pictures in, so that extra spacing right there is going to be perfect. Alright, so now got to put in the rest of the pages and our cover. So our cover piece is an actual piece that goes on top. We do have a lot of, I fussy cut a lot. This is an optional cover. You can do whatever you want with this front and the spine. So if you don't want to mess with anything that I'm about to do to make it look the way I have, then you don't have to. You don't have to mess with it. You can decorate this part however you want. But I am going to show you how to make this. I'm calling it an aviary shadow screen, shadow area. Aviary shadow area for this front cover. So we're going to work on that. I'm going to put some more pages in here just to give it a little more oomph, so I can work on this front cover a little bit better. Or I can leave it alone and just lay it flat. Probably the better idea. Okay, let's move on. Alright, now we're going to work on our frame for our cover. So we have several pieces of chipboard here. 3 of the thicker pieces, which is our bottom. These are the same size as the bottom piece. There's 3 of those. Then there's 3 for the side, 3 for the side. So I've already cut all these out. And what we're going to do is just attach them together. So this is how we're making our small shadow box, is attaching 3 pieces of chipboard together to each other. So I'm going to use tape just to do it that way. And then we're going to apply this to a piece of paper. So it's pretty simple. We're just going to add our tape to our piece. Remove our tape backing. We're going to attach. Just making sure it is even. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and attach all of my pieces the same way, just with my tape, 3 high in each stack. Alright, this is our sheet for our frame, which I'm going to set aside. But first, we're going to attach these guys with a little bit of tape so we get a little bit of a structure as we move forward. So this is our frame. We're just going to add some tape to hold it a little bit as we place it on our paper. So we're going to line it up straight even. With each other. Now I did this in pieces. If you think you can just cut out a frame of the chipboard, I'm not that talented especially to do 3 pieces or 4 pieces. But once they get attached into the paper, okay, one more piece. Good. Alright, that looks really good. And then we're going to put it on our paper. Now I know we'll eventually attach it to the paper. We're not going to do that at the moment. Right now we're going to do some tracing and drawing. So I'm going to place this evenly on my paper. Okay, so first I'm going to just draw my outline, just so I know where to place it back when I'm done with it, because we do have to cut out the middle section. And I could measure, but chipboard typically can be a little uneven, especially we have 3 pieces. So I'm going to draw the inside frame. We're going to go out a little bit further than the frame. Now I move this, so hopefully it won't look so bad. Okay. Okay, I did move it, but this should be our good piece. This should be our bad. As long as I have it, the lines straight. You see that I just traced my frame. Now, I do want this frame to come in 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to draw. First, I'm going to make sure my line is even on this guy, since I moved my frame. I'm going to put my guy back here. And then I'm going to just do this so I can see which line I'm on. Okay, I'm on the right line. Okay, so then I'm just going to go up 1/8 inch from the line. Now the good thing about a Tim Holtz ruler is it's clear and you can see through. So you can see through the next. My light is not letting you see the dotted line right there. So we're going to move our ruler up 1/8 of an inch from the dotted line. So you see my 1/8 inch right there? That's the line we're going to cut. But we're going to do that around the entire edge. So we're just lining up our line with the first dotted line. So you see the line that we're going to draw, that we drew. It's hard to see on this paper, but we're going to cut that piece out. Alright, so we're going to cut on the line that we drew. So I'm going to do that on all the sides and cut out this middle square. Alright, so I added tape to the other side just to get it a little bit sturdy as I'm attaching it. I've already added tape to this whole thing and took off the tape backing so I can attach it. So I'm going to line it up with the inside frame, and I can't really see that well, so I'm going to stand, hoping I'm still in camera. So I'm going to line up with my inside line marks because those are the most important. Perfect. So that is our frame. And oh, that looks good. I do need to ink those edges. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before I forget. Alright, so I inked my inside edges. So I'm going to flip this guy over. The first thing I'm going to do is trace around the edge. Let me go over real quick why I have a little lip. One, I have a little lip so when it's on the album you can't see the chipboard. I didn't feel like wrapping it. Now sometimes I do wrap it. If you're going to wrap it, I would add this to be about 5/8 inches inside. You cut up to the corner. You trim each corner up to the corner. So you'll just cut it like this, up to the corner. Add the tape and wrap it to the inside. You can do that. I didn't want to do that with this one. I think the lip is perfect. You can't really see the chipboard unless you really are going to turn that album, you know, like this and look down, which you're not going to do. Okay, so now that I aligned it, I'm going to fold all the edges inward. So we're going to fold. I'm going to take my bone folder and just get a good line going. I know I'm going to need to add some tape. So right now let me just do my line. Because I'm going to need to do some trimming on the corners. Alright. Okay, so now that I have that one, I'm going to do another fold. This is going to help me figure out where I'm going to cut that corner at. So I'm going to want to know that before I add. I want to trim that corner before I add my tape. Alright, so your corner, you have the secondary line when you folded, and then you have this secondary line here where it meets in the middle, which is hard to see, is where you're going to trim it to, because you need that paper to go over this corner. If you trim it too close, you'll see your corner, probably not a whole lot, because of how the album is constructed. But you can always, if you're not 100% sure, you can always draw some lines. So this is your fold line. Here is your fold line. Now you know where your corner is, and that's where we're going to cut. Is that where the fold line is? I think we're gonna mark it. It's more like right there. I folded the paper and looked where the chipboard meets, and then I marked it. And then we're going to cut this at an angle. So when it's folded and then folded, it'll be folded in the corner. Alright, so I like that better. Folding it over and then marking where the corner meets the paper. And then we're just going to cut an angle at that line. To the dot. I said at the line. To the dot. To the dot. Okay. So then that'll fold over and we tuck in the corners. That's perfect. Alright, next we're going to tuck in the corners. I did add tape to my... Alright, are you going to clear up? Clear up! Alright, tuck in the corners. You fold over and then we're going to tuck. So we're going to attach two sides first and then we're going to tuck in the corner and attach the other two sides. So I added tape to the edge, flush to the edge, and that's my 3/8 inch tape. And I inked this corner part right here. So let's just attach. That. Squeeze in here. So we're going to tuck that down. Are you going to clear up? Clear up. Tuck that in so this can wrap inwards. So we're going to tuck this one in. We're going to do that to the other side. Attach. Oh, he untucked when I folded him in. Oh, that's alright. He's on the bottom. You can't, or he's on the top. You can't really tell. I could just probably trim it off. Or ignore it. Alright. Can't see it from there. Anyways, there we go. So there's our good tucked corner that didn't come untucked when I was folding them. So they look clean. Looks good. Let me grab this guy right here. And then we're going to attach him like so. Okay, looks real bland. But we're going to put a whole bunch of birds in there. And need to add my tape to the back of this guy. And then we're going to attach it to the cover. And we also have to make a spine one. Alright, next we need to decorate our front cover. So the last part we did this frame. Now we need to fill it and decorate the frame. So I'm not going to record that, but I'm going to show you my pieces and how I came about with the design that I chose. Again, this is optional. You don't need to make the frame. You don't need to choose the pieces that I chose if you don't want this look. So I'm going to set that aside. And our first piece is our background piece. So I cut out, look at that, I fussy cutted all those little leaves. So I cut out this beautiful piece. This is one of the first things I did, was cut this piece out before I did anything else with this album, because I knew I wanted to use it. So if that's something that you want to do, cut your piece out so you don't use the paper that you're cutting. So I think this is going to look great. It is a little longer than So I will have to trim it, but I think it looks perfect for a background piece. And then, you know, you can just have it up higher or lower. But that's my background piece. And then, and this is going to be flush flat to the cover. Then I fussy cutted all of my birds and a couple of butterflies for the inside. So that's, I'm making kind of like a shadow box aviary cover. So these are the pieces that I chose. I did cut out a lot more. So I got my pink birds, another flamingo, my toucan. So I cut out plenty of pieces, and then I chose what fit on my cover the best. Even though I did want this guy to be my center attention guy, but if I did that, wouldn't have enough room for all the birds that I wanted to do, because I wanted it more. So I cut out the birds, did my leaves. Let me raise that up. So these leaves right here, which I cut out of the green paper and then inked the edges, and I'll probably wrinkle these guys up a little bit, just to give another effect to this shadow box area. These leaves are from a die. It's a Sizzix Tim Holtz die. I use the same die in my tiki hut, and this is called Tropical. If you haven't seen my tiki hut, you should go check that out. I really like it. Then I cut out some additional pieces. This is for the frame itself. So I did cut out, this is part of the chipboard collection, cut out a piece. And then these two are for my stickers. So I'm going to have 2 of the stickers next to the main piece. And there was a lot to choose from. So you got these 2 stickers, which I really liked. Those are the birds. You got just the greenery at the top. Or you can choose these beautiful birds at the bottom. So there's plenty to choose from. And then I have all of my foam squares that I'm going to use to pop dot all of my birds, because I want them to look like they're flying in the aviary shadow box thing that I'm making. Okay, I'm going to put it all together and then show you when it's done. Okay, so I'm working on a little bit of the decorating, and what I wanted to go over in detail is this little label piece that I have put on my pages and the tags. So this guy right here is actually pretty easy to make, and you just take a nesting die. This one's Spellbinders Labels 36, but just take any kind of nesting die that you have to make your outer label. So this piece is an outer label. So I just took 2 of the labels to make my outer ring here. So I just cut this out, and then I pick the spot that I want to use, because this will be just like that. So in order to get that piece, I just take this little guy, because I don't cut it out a second time. I put my bigger label on there, so I get a good where I want to put it. Put my bigger label on there and just trace around the edge of the bigger piece, so I know where I'm going to cut. You can cut it out if you want. It doesn't matter. I just want it to be shorter than this edge here. So I want it in between these 2 edges to attach to the back of this. And the best way to do it is just to trace. And then I just hand cut it. And it don't have to be perfect, because it's going to get, you're not going to see the edge. So now we have our piece that fits perfect. And then you can attach it so there's enough room to attach your pieces to each other to make it look like a framed little piece. And I'll show you where I'm putting this one. He's going right here. But I'm going to ink my edges first. So, oops, I'm off the camera. And if you want to give it a little texture, you can always run this through a texture fade and get a little texture on there. Would also be cute. All right, moving on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you some decorating tips on the album. I'm going to start with this page over here and what I've cut out. So I wanted to decorate this portion right here. So I took the piece from the collection and cut it out, and this blended, so I wanted a little bit of a background. So I cut out a couple of little strips, punched the corners, and then I'm going to tape them. And I didn't make them the same size as the piece that I'm using. I made them a little bit shorter. And then I'm just going to attach in the center on the top and bottom. Not sure if I should measure that or eye it. Let's see if I can just measure it. I'm going to measure it on here. Right on the ruler. Let's see what it's... Okay. Is this not very smart? I can't see it very well. That looks good. So I'm just going to repeat on the bottom. I might just try and eyeball this one. How close am I? I did really good. Okay, then I'm going to tape it right here. So let me add some tape. Okay, so now that I got it all attached, I'm going to try and eyeball this. Looks good. I'm going to leave this blank, I think. But if I wasn't, I would probably take like one of these cutout pieces, put a background on it, and then maybe stick it to just one side of the flap. But I do kind of like this just open. Or I could do, this is a cutout piece from this guy. Maybe put that in the middle with a piece of chipboard in the middle. A small little chipboard piece. That's what I got. You know, something like that. I kind of like it like this. Then I'm going to open, and then we left this part with no pattern paper. So I cut out, so I decorated at the end using scrap pieces. So that's usually the best way for me to do it. So I don't cut into something that I need a bigger piece for. So I got my scraps, and then the stickers from the paper collection. And then I'm just going to stick it right there in the middle of the flap. I'm just removing the tape backing. And let's see. It's about centered. There we go. And for this piece, I made it the whole length of the flap since I didn't have a mat. And I thought it would look better for the whole length instead of, you know, the mat would being only an 1/8 inch short border all the way around. So then I got that, and then we open up and we have this big area for pictures, which I don't really want to mess up too much. So what I'm going to do is just take one of the cutout pieces, put it close to the bottom, glue L shape, and then take one of the 4x6 cards and just stick it in there. So it does, you know, you still have some decoration, but plenty of space for pictures. You can even slide a picture down behind it as well. So we're just going to do an L shape and glue to make our pocket. Because I still want that big area for pictures, journaling. I can even put a picture here, do some journaling on the side. There's a lot of options. Okay, so then I'm going to let that dry, not stick my mat in there right away, but that's where I want to put it. Let me close this up. And I already showed this, but I'll go ahead and show the tag. So I did add this piece right there. I think it looks awesome. And then on this side, we made our little frame with our little piece. So I'll go ahead and attach that to the center of here. If you wanted to add just something a little extra, you can always add a strip of paper, whether it be pattern or solid. Going from here to here, being a skinnier piece would look cute as well. Let me just eyeballing. I'm not always good at the eyeballing, but that looks good right there. And then, of course, I want to use my stickers. I got this guy. I'm going to ink it so it has a pineapple on it. You might sense a little bit of a theme to this page with the pineapples. Okay, so this guy is just going to come up at the top. I'm not really going to add a whole lot. But on another page, because we got you know, more tops here. I could cut out some flowers in the corner and put something in there. I might have did that a little crooked. That's all right. So I just shoved another card in here. If I don't use it in anywhere else, I'll probably just leave it in here because there's room. So I cut out a strip for here just to give a little decoration. I didn't really want to add anything up here, just in case you wanted to do a picture or journaling up there. So I didn't add anything there. But for this solid color, I'm going to go ahead and add this. I can't really see sideways. Like that. And then I'm going to add another sticker and ink edges. So I'm adding a little decoration, not a lot. Still going to have plenty of space for pictures. That's really cute. That's really cute. I like that. So I'm going to put my tag back in there. When I get a little bit of decorations on each page, I might come back to see if I want to add anything to a tag, because a little sticker right at the bottom of the corner would be cute as well. But I do want to, you know, for me, I like to at least get a little of something on every page. And then if I have stuff left over, go back and see if, you know, I want to put anything on the tags or just leave them as it is. All right. So that's how I'm decorated the first page. And I have the cover to work on. For the inside cover, I kind of took the idea of this and put it on the inside and made a little frame. So I'm putting the frame in the middle, and I cut out this really cool flower piece that will go right on the inside of the frame. Then I cut out a few more just some yellow flowers to make this, all this green pop a little bit, because that's a lot of green. So then we'll have those pieces, and then I cut out my toucan because I couldn't get it on the front cover. Have to use it. I really like this one, this little piece. So I'm going to pop dot him up so he'll sit. Let me put some pop dots on the thing just so you can see that it's going to go up a little bit. I think it's going to look amazing when I'm done with it. Cut out a little piece just to have that framed, and then I have this chipboard. So I can leave it like this, but I have the chipboard butterfly that I might just stick at the corner to finish it off. Lower this guy down just a little bit. So that's I'm going to attach this off camera. I just wanted to show you my little pieces and how I did it. This also, I think, would make an amazing card, and not just the front cover, inside cover of an album. Just to have that little layering in the frame, I think is really cute. So you can do that with the other birds too. I might make a small frame on the back. You know, just playing around with the little birds that I got lying around. That's not right. I need another bird. But you got the idea. Making this cute little frame. So again, good idea for a card. Alright, let me get that attached. Alright, I have everything completed, and now I'm just going to go over a little close-ups of how I got everything decorated and attached. So if you don't want to watch the rest of this video, that's fine. I do have pictures of all the pages that I have done on my blog, www.webofcreativity.net, where you can purchase the tutorial and some kits. So I used foam squares for all of the pieces and inked put a little vintage photo on the tips of the leaves. And then I just cut out a couple of pieces for the sticker for the spine. This inside guy is the toucan from the collection. Cut out a background piece for it, and then a couple of yellow flowers just to add a little something to this extra side piece from the collection, and then that's from the chipboard. This guy I just cut a couple of strips and stub punched the corners just to make a focal piece. Just took my scraps, so I waited until the end to do the inside flap and just use my scraps and the stickers, or yeah, the stickers for the collection for the inside. So here's another one of those embellishments with the die. Edge punched, added a sticker and another strip here. Sticker at the top. So I didn't go heavy on the embellishments. And then took the neck size up in the Spellbinders die set from the frame to outline behind the chipboard piece, and added a strip here, and then I edge punched both sides, added a strip and then a sticker. And this is just from the collection, so I glued just the edges to make that a pocket. Not needed. You can take both of those off and just have a big area for photos. Another I like this one where I outlined outlined his face. And then I have a little sticker down here. And because I liked this part to kind of go with this part, same bird, this card is a 4x6 from the collection. So then I just added a couple of strips and stub punched them on both sides. And then edge punched. Now I took, again, these are scraps. So I got a scrap that does this big and not all the way out. And you used it and just did a punch to make it look more intentional. Because again, this is paper heavy. As you can see with all the pieces, pages, flaps. And then I stopped there. I do have a piece that I have in the back with the pineapple that I'm not sure if I want to put there or attach it up here. I haven't decided. I just have it tucked away to use. And then this was a scrap piece. It's a little bit smaller than the other ones, but I liked the Lost in Paradise saying, so I just stuck it at the top. And that's about it. I still need to decorate the rest. But that is all the pages. I haven't done the back. I'm thinking of doing something similar or like two smaller versions. Like one in one corner, one in the other, and then have some flower backgrounds and a couple small birds. I do got, still have my white ones that I just threw. A couple of the white birds. This guy that I cut out. Also, when you do the frames, you get these really cute little pieces. And I thought it would be cute to stick one of the birds on. So he can be an embellishment on the inside as well. You know, cut out this little butterfly and put on to make an embellishment. There's just all kinds of little things you can do. Not that one. And then I do have cut out another frame. So even something like that would be cute. Anyways, so just fussy cutting some birds out, and then just try and get some ideas for how you want to decorate it. But this is what I did. I really like how it turned out. I liked the little shadow box that I made. Turned it into an aviary type. Love how I turned this out. So, kids tutorials on my blog. Please go check everything out. www.webofcreativity.net. Thank you for watching.